जादू चलते देखे हैं जादू चलते.
The work. Are we filming?
Mm-hmm.
So, Katie.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, we're here with Byron Katie, who's referred to as Katie, I understand. And we're here celebrating in Boulder, Colorado, which is certainly the home of probably a good number of your readers. I would think the publication of your latest, greatest book, 1,000 Names of Joy. Is that?
A thousand names for joy.
For joy.
Yeah.
I continue to learn. We don't have a copy of the book, but that might be nice to... So we put these interviews on YouTube, and YouTube is sort of, an online kind of television
I love
station.
YouTube.
And you're all over it,
I
so
love
it's
it.
great. So thank you very much.
All right.
So this book, handed to me by Stephen Mitchell, who's the co-author, is Byron Katie's latest, greatest. And maybe you just want to get one shot of that. Very nice. So, we only have a little time, so I guess I want to give our readers an understanding of what the work is. And the work is essentially what you talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
The work is a way to identify and question the thoughts that cause all the pain and suffering in the world. And anyone whose mind is open to it can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing shifts take place, and I invite everyone to it.
Great. So in terms of pain and suffering, and I come from the Buddhist background, I get made fun of every interview I ever do. I start by saying, well, this is where I'm coming from. But pain and suffering in the Buddhist tradition is caused by being caught up in one's thoughts. And you said the work works for anyone who's open to it, but isn't it by definition all these thoughts and pain, isn't that kind of closed?
If you find a thought that brings on stress, a story that brings on stress,
Mm-hmm.
you identify those thoughts and you put them on paper. There they are. They're stopped. They're still.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you put those 4 questions up against them, and it opens a whole new world. And it shows you what you never dreamed possible, because all those answers are coming from inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to see that no one holds more wisdom than another. It appears we have different IQs, but no one holds more wisdom than another. I had no spiritual background, I come from a world where you raise your children and you keep them fed and you work very hard, and that was what I did. So I just found myself awake to, a whole other world, and in a moment it was so radical and
Your own journey.
Yeah, well, yes.
Wow.
And it's for everyone. No one struck me with wisdom. It was always there. And so when people question their stressful thoughts and then turn them around, I call it, opposites. And for example, he doesn't care about me. An opposite is he does care about me. And the defined examples where that is as true or truer than what I was believing about him. Also another opposite is I don't care about him. And that's a mind blower, to sit and find examples of how you have maybe gossiped about that person or in some way harmed or hurt him in your own opinion that you weren't aware of because you were being defensive, because after all, he doesn't like me. And we feel so justified in it. And when we question our thoughts and find opposites, we cannot have an enemy. An enemy ceases to be possible because we're coming out of a mind that's awake to its own true nature, basically, the nature of everything and all of us. And that's simple when we begin to discover that stressful thoughts are about any war with what is beautiful, what is kind, what is good. And for me, that's everyone and everything without limit.
So I know you must do this all the time, but apparently you're not tired of it yet because you must see the benefit that happens. So could we actually go through a very simple example of
Yes. So give
Yeah.
me a thought you experienced that is that causes stress in your life. An idea.
Should it be someone I don't like, or
It could be about politics. It could be about a relationship. It could be about work, money, job, your physical health, anything.
Right.
The
So
state
many
of the
come to
world.
mind. So I'll pick a very mundane one. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is but I know this is almost too easy for you, so I want to give you a harder one.
Well, see, it's you that'll be answering the questions, so it's simple for me. I'll be asking.
Right. Uh-oh. Well, I better pick a simple one then. So there's this fellow who, without naming his name in a public interview, worked with my mother about 15 years ago. My mother is a single mother, very poor, and raised me. You know, she did a great job for the most part raising me, despite how I turned out. And he essentially stole almost all of her money. And she was so kind of not really smart about money that she didn't even really realize it until it was nearly too late, and her lawyer friends couldn't really help her out too much.
Yes.
So he's someone who as a Buddhist, I always enjoy saying, well, there's one person, if I ran into them in an alley and I'd had a drink, I would enjoy that experience.
Yes.
So that's some hatred there. So
Yes.
what would I do with that?
Well, one thought that comes to mind is he hurt my mother.
Right.
Another thought that comes to mind right out of your mouth is he stole from my mother.
Right.
He stole from my mother.
Essentially, he hurt my mother.
He hurt your mother.
I just feel defensive about it.
Yes, and it really shows. So let's take a look at it. He hurt your mother. Is that true?
I know what's coming next. Yes.
He hurt your mother. Can you absolutely know that it's true? That it was he that hurt your mother?
Well, there I would say again, yes, but I would say that she went on to live a good, meaningful life.
Okay, and at that point you've left the work and it stops working.
Ah,
So we answered the questions,
Okay.
and notice when we stray and begin to justify, tell
Okay.
a story, defend, and
Yeah.
just move back to the
Okay.
work. Because the work only works when we answer the questions.
Okay.
So I'm hearing yes, that you can absolutely know that he hurt your mother.
well, in a pretty sort of concrete way, yeah.
Okay, is it a yes or no?
I would say yes.
Okay, so he hurt your mother.
Yeah.
How do you react when you believe that thought? What happens? That works. But this is about, we don't need fear to be constructive in the world. We don't need fear as a motivator. That for me, love is the power. Balance is the power. So how do you react? Look at your life as a young, how old were you
32. How old was I?
when it happened?
Oh, I was 13.
Okay, so look at that 13-year-old young man and your life all the way through. How do you react when you think the thought, he hurt my mother? What happens?
I just feel I feel kind of hatred, kind of angry.
Keep going.
Oh,
What happens? It's like, how do you treat yourself? How did you treat your mother when you think that thought? How does it feel inside of you? What images do you see? This is all. How do you react when you think that thought? How do you react when you believe that thought? He hurt my mother.
I mean, really, just as a guy, I kind of just want to punch him in the face. That's sort of just all I think about.